Dum dum dum! Hello, hello, hello. Hang on a second, let's get some light on the situation. That's better. It's Rokk. It's Rokk of Rokk Around the Clock fame. And let me just turn this music down a bit because it is no doubt blowing your ears out. Let's get rid of that. Let's get it right down. Come on, get with this boy. So, welcome. Hang on a second. Let me mute that one. You don't want two of these. There we go. That's better. That's better. How are you? Welcome. Welcome to Rokk Around the Clock, the first live edition. This is not only the inaugural number one of Rokk Around the Clock, but believe it or not, since I started doing this year of content creating stuff about 8 weeks ago, this is the first time I have ever done a live stream where I've not been playing a game or I've been on somebody else's show. So it's an absolute first. Bear with me, guys. I hopefully got all the tech set up. I've got some really interesting news tonight. I have got MotoGP 2020. It's been bought. It's primed. It's ready to go. We've got the old founders set to get going on this. So this is all going to be good. And we've got some news about something that's happening on Saturday. Good evening to chat. We've got my very, very good friend Lee, Stadia Mania. Hi Lee, how are you, mate? Good evening to you, sir. And we've got our newest clan member, Darren Dazzadini, who's also very, very new to Stadia. In fact, he got his premiere pack this week. So say hi to Dazzadini, friend him, and he's already fully aware of the greatness of the Stadia community. So, without further ado, let's have a quick look at what we're going to be doing this evening. Look at that for tech. Wow. So, we're going to start with news. The idea, by the way, let's just have a quick explanation about what this is about. So, you will be familiar, hopefully, with my output, and you'll be familiar with the fact that over the last week or so, I've been trialing a daily news digest, Rokk Around the Clock. Before that, I had the magazine, which was Stadia Rocks. Now, it occurred to me yesterday that all of the effort that goes into putting these things together, and just to give you kind of a feel, if you've never done this, and obviously some people are different. Some people will have faster workflow processes by far than me, but for me, the best I can achieve is about an hour per minute of video produced, which, if you think about it, for a daily news digest, an hour to whack out a minute and a half to 2 minutes is, it's a huge amount of effort. And Stadia Rocks, which was 15 to 30 minutes, depending on which episode. So that took 2 or 3 days to put together. Solid time. And around that, I've got a business to run. I've got a family to care for. I've got a life to lead. I've got food to ingest, sleep to be had. So I decided, actually, the best thing I could possibly do is try to create an amalgamation of the two shows as a live show, which is what you are watching today. I've yet to decide if I'm going to do this daily, because it's not so much the talking bit, that's easy. It's the prep bit, and you'll see in a second I put a fair amount of effort into this as well. But look, stop complaining, Rokk, I hear you say. And it's a fair point, I'm sorry. Let's have a look. Let's start the news off with this. This is interesting. So, new format, as you can see. What we're going to do is we're going to have a look at the pages that I've sourced my news from, and we've got some pullouts on the side here so that we can see exactly what it is that I want to bring your attention to. So this was an interesting one. Now, this popped up yesterday. New Chromecast Ultra 2 with Android TV and a remote, interestingly. So if we scroll down the page, what this article is actually saying is a bit speculative, but they've pulled together some interesting tidbits that lead them to believe that not only is Android TV going to feature Stadia, which it's a done deal, but that interestingly, Ultra 2, Chromecast Ultra 2, which they believe is coming out this year for a couple of reasons, will have Android TV built into it. So at the moment, as you know, the Chromecast and the Chromecast Ultra are streaming devices. So you cast the content of your phone or other device through the Ultra or the Chromecast to your TV. The suggestion from this article is that it will actually have its own operating system, i.e. Android TV, which in itself is interesting because, of course, not all manufacturers have taken up Android TV as their operating system. And indeed, this is one way that they can ensure that they also manage to get the rest of Google, the Googleverse, in and on every other manufactured television set. So that's interesting. Now, what they've also uncovered, which I thought was quite fascinating, was firstly, there's a roadmap that they cite that came from this website, xdadevelopers.com. Now, this was published last year, so this is already known news. But the point of this was that it's an article about the EDT, which is apparently a hardware blueprint that Google gives to developers. And within that blueprint, for anyone that wants to create a device that will have Android TV in, is, let's see if I can scroll down for you to see this. There we go. In bold, Stadia integration. So back 2 months before we launched, or before Google launched, that's the royal we, before they launched Stadia, it was already noted on this article that it would include Stadia integration. So that that's quite interesting. So if we go back to this article then, this is the ADT3, this is the Android hardware specification. Sorry, and scroll down there so you can see that. There you go, hardware, minimum hardware specifications. And it's apparently, they've only released 2 or 3 of these ever. So the fact that this one was released, I think in March, indicates that this is quite a big thing within Google. And the key is that it's going to be preloaded with Android or Android TV. And we know from the XDA developers article that within the coming Android TV or within a coming Android TV rollout will be Google Stadia. So it will be its own operating system within this device, within the next Chromecast, which is interesting in itself. And then, as they say, but more tantalizing, there's mention of a hero device, which could indicate that Google intends to lead by example by selling the first Google-branded Android TV device, because up until now, it's been third parties that have released Google devices. So this will be the first time that that Google themselves, according to this hero device, i.e. project name. And then somebody tweeted this, and again, this is March, so we're talking last month, about a month ago, and what they discovered was the FCC, which is the body in America that clears anything that's likely to use radio waves, including Bluetooth. So, you know, if it's Wi-Fi based or anything that uses radio waves has to get cleared by the FCC, because obviously they need to ensure that it's not going to interrupt or interfere with medical, ambulances or military devices and so on. So this device was put up by Google and got clearance. And the interesting thing about this is it's a remote control. And it says down here that judging from its shape, it's not the remote for the ADT3, i.e. the Android TV. The two-tone dark grey and the white colour scheme, while not necessarily representative of a final product, bears the design hallmarks that Google has used on its Pixel phones and Pixelbook laptops. And it goes on to say that it also reflects the look and feel of Google's recently released Stadia game controller. So the plot thickens. By no means is this a done deal, and it could mean absolutely nothing. But I'd like to speculate that actually the concept of a more fulfilled Chromecast that is in a way more like your Amazon Fire TV with a remote that would enable you to the whole thing to come as a package with a controller and Stadia as a future entertainment system. I think that in itself could be very good. So that's that news item. There you go. That's your first one done. Now the second one, thanks to Wingnut, my friend on Twitter @Wingnut, he sent me this little snippet earlier, and it's essentially Codemasters, who of course are already have Grid as a game on Stadia, are also producing, as we all know, F1 2020, which was announced a few days ago, and it'll be coming to the store on, I believe, the 10th of July. Now, this is interesting. If you go to the Codemasters website, and you'll see on all these news items, there's a source. So the source is forums.codemasters.com. So if you go to this website, they're actually inviting people to sign up to beta test F1 2020. Now, I did this earlier. I actually do have a Codemasters account. And what you have to do is very simple. You can just go in and register. And what you have to do, because somebody very kindly shown a screenshot, if I can scroll it down, here it is. So this screen here, let me get it into the screen for you. There you go. So once you've signed up and you go into your profile, you'll see that there is an option to join beta testing. And right now, it's got 2019, don't know why, and 2020, more important. Now you'll see as well that unfortunately Stadia or XCloud or Geforce Now or Shadow aren't mentioned specifically as the platforms there. However, I have it on good faith that if you sign up for this, for me I signed up with PS4 Pro, but you could tick any of those that are relevant to you of course, that puts you in prime slot for testing with Stadia at some point in the not too distant future. So I would suggest that you go and do that because it's free, and you might be one of the lucky ones that gets a free ticket to the Codemasters Chocolate Factory to have a go on F1. So there you go. It's forums.codemasters.com. Just register as young Rokk has up here. Go to your profile thusly, and then you go. You can edit profile, I believe it is. Hope I don't show anything that you really shouldn't be seeing. No, it's all fine. And so, wow, look at all that stuff. Terms and conditions for the beta. Probably didn't do it, which is why it's asked me to do it now. There you go. So just do that, and it'll ask you about which device you want to test on. Of course, you're going to say whichever one you own, and then the next step will be, hopefully, if you keep coming back and you'll get notified, they'll be doing some tests on Stadia or other platforms that are in the cloud. So that'll be all good. Next in the news this evening is, of course, this came out earlier. Thanks to Stadia Mania in the chat for letting me know that this was out. It popped up on my phone 2 seconds later as I was preparing the notes for this evening. So that's all good. And basically what we have, what our friends are offering for us, our future delectation, if I just pull this up on my screen, is Lara Croft and the Temple of Osiris. Nothing to do with Destiny, by the way. And Kona. So Lara Croft, I've actually played this game. It came out on PlayStation a little while ago, at least a year, and I believe it was released as a free PlayStation Plus game. It's actually really good. It reminded me of Diablo, so it's that kind of top-down, isometric-ish type thing. You can play with your friends because it's got a competitive co-op. So you can compete against your friends as well. And it's also a little bit reminiscent of Darksiders on Stadia, if you've played that one. What I thought we'd have a quick peep at is the video for this. Hopefully you will hear this. Sorry if you don't, but, you know, what do you want for free? Stadia. There we go. I'll be quiet. I'll turn the music down.
The light we bring has disturbed something up ahead. Hurry, mortal. You are not safe here.
Set is raising his army.
Croft, are you sure we're up to killing a god?
Have you come to bow before me?
So there you can see that kind of Diablo. It's actually, the graphics are really good, aren't they? I would argue that these graphics have been remastered since I played it last, because I don't remember them being as attractive as this. I mean, that's got to be a 4K, isn't it? Or should I not say that anymore? Good stuff. So that looks really good. It's been around for a year, 2 years. So I think it'll come to the store at a relatively low price, if not as a potential free pro game. Either of those would be great. I will buy this. I think this looks really good. And I love Darksiders Genesis on Stadia, which I've yet to complete, but I will do at some point. And then the second game is Kona. So Lara Croft and the Temple of Osiris is kind of loosely, it's loosely based on the Lara Croft franchise. I mean, there's a character that runs around in shorts and a skimpy top that has a beautifully cut glass English accent, but other than that, it's I would argue that it's kind of about as loose as you can get on the old Lara Croft theme. Any road up, Kona looks really good as well. Now I wasn't aware of this game. It reminds me a lot of some of the other. There's some other games that I've played very similar to this. It's kind of first person adventure survival type game. Both of these are they've sort of listed them as adventure games. But I would argue that Lara Croft is not so much. It's more of a isometric shoot things kind of game. But Kona's really good. So they advertise this as being based in the 1970s. And it actually says go back in time with a vintage look and feel reminiscent of the 1970s, which ironically sums me up. Or at the very least, it sums up Generation X. Because I'm going to get a cheeky little plug in here. Why the heck not? My very good friend and co-host Clive Illenden has just joined the chat. Hi, Clive. So Generation X, Tuesday nights, 9 p.m. Clive and I, both veterans of the game industry, at a point where most people were calling it the GAM industry because they hadn't learned to spell it yet. So 1970s rural community, vintage look, perfect Generation X game. You really must go and have a look at this one. But let's fire up the old video and see what it looks like. Yes, I hear you cry. Please press that little red button. I'll do it just for you. So here we go. Stadia. So I was racking my brains to remember the game that had been playing on PlayStation shortly before crossing over to Stadia. And I still don't remember, but it looked like this. So yeah, he's definitely not in a 21st century automobile.
Carl Faubert sought information for a living. That is to say that ever since he returned from Korea, after having served with the armed forces, he had been working as a private investigator in Montreal. William Hamilton, a rich industrialist, had gotten in touch with him regarding a simple vandalism issue. Nothing to write home about. Not worth hiring a private eye either, just so he can drive for hours on rough roads. But that's how it had always been. The client
says explore a vast,
Carl
frigid northern environment. I've been to a few of those.
Things got pretty rough.
Angry Birds. I've known a few of them. Always got to be in the dark. That's a really important thing in these kinds of games. Find a torch and struggle. Yeah, that looks really good. Raven's Court, and that's Parabole or Parabole and Raven's Court. So I think those look really good actually. And even though I think, again, this isn't a new game, both of them, what I love is that although Google are clearly resurrecting or encouraging or at least not discouraging publishers to resurrect some of their older titles, I think they're still being quite selective on what's coming. So both of these look really high quality games, albeit maybe 18 months, 2 years old. So yeah, definitely two to watch. And of course then at the end of our community plug, we have the now familiar cut and paste line of more games coming to Stadia this year, including Marvel's Avengers, as opposed to Marvel's Coffee Mate, which is my personal favourite tipple. The Elder Scrolls Online and Super Hot. Now Super Hot is, I think, wasn't that one of the games that was recently talked about? So that's all good. Hi Zero. Hi Clive, thanks for popping in, guys. It was getting a little bit lonely with me, Lee and Darren on our own in here, but it's lovely to see you. It's show number 1. Come along. So there you go, that's the community roundup. I think those look really good. So I'm also mindful that my dear friends at Stadia Source have got a show at 9 in half an hour, so I promise you that I will not crash that. We will move on now to item number 4. Now, this is interesting actually, because what this is it was a round table. Oh no, I've opened it up and completely blown my layout. Let me put this back. Yeah, so it was a round table held, I believe, a few days ago. Although this is in venturebeat.com, and again, source at the base. This is a round table comprising some, relatively high-hitting, albeit executives from the gaming community. So we've got, particularly Clive, who does speak some Japanese. Yoichi Wada, the former CEO of Square Enix, which is interesting. Now, there's a lowercase t here, and I think this is JT Gleason, former head of developer relations at Twitch. Anna Sweet, of course, investor and former executive with Oculus and Valve. And Matthew Ball, interactive media investor and startup advisor. So this was billed as a roundtable organised by Gervid, and Gervid, it says here, is a company who are experts in cloud streaming and online gaming, which is kind of where we are, isn't it? It's the space we're in. And this guy, their CEO, Jacob Navok, which is probably Jakob, in fairness, Jakob Navok. Now, I'm going to make an assumption here, folks. I'm going to make an assumption that when VentureBeat wrote this article, they came at it from a place of little knowledge of cloud gaming, and I'm going to point out to you why I think this is. So let's start here. This is a classic. If I can get the bit up here. There we go. Right, so Jakob, remember the eponymous CEO of Gervid, who held this round table, says, last year we saw the promise, let me just highlight this, last year we saw the promise of cloud gaming break open with the announcement of Stadia XCloud. Never heard that done before. That's an absolute first. There you go. The CEO of the round table. But it doesn't look like it's moving the needle much in 2020. Jakob, where the hell have you been? Recently we saw that Stadia was going to make its Stadia Pro feature set available. Available for the next for free for the next few months for anybody with a Gmail address. Do we think, opens to the panel, do we think that this is going to change or improve the situation, and why? So I'm sat there as former chief executive of Square Enix, thinking to myself, what? Jakob, mate, what? Honestly, have you done any research on this whatsoever? So let's go and see what Yoichi Wada had to say. Now, Yoichi Wada, as we've just said, he was the ex-chief exec of Square Enix. Now, bearing in mind that this happened fairly recently, I mean, we know that because young Jakobs just mentioned that Stadia XCloud have made their Stadia Pro feature set available for free, as long as you have a Gmail address. It's interesting. Didn't know that. So this ain't months old info, right? So Yoichi Wada, chief exec of Square Enix, once says, simply taking the feature set of PC or console from local, I'm assuming that's a typo, putting it on a server and streaming, that's not going to really make much of a difference or add any value. So it doesn't matter how prevalent 5G becomes. Solving bandwidth issues, just moving the feature set of a game over to the cloud really won't make much of a contribution. Oh my God! He just put a pistol to the head of Geforce Now and Shadow, and to a degree, XCloud, once part of Stadia, apparently. So Yoichi Wada, who's probably got more of a clue about this stuff, bearing in mind the chief exec, ex-chief exec, is saying in this paragraph quite blatantly, nah, it's Stadia all the way. And I even wonder whether Jakob, let's give poor Jakob the benefit of the doubt. I think it's more likely to have been the VentureBeat journalist, to be fair, that covered this. Scribbled notes on the back of a paper, on that little sheet of paper and pencil they give you in hotels, and oh no, sharpener and all that stuff. So I think young Jakob, young Yoichi, who's probably not that young actually looking at him, he's literally saying right here, the future is not GeForce, the future is not XCloud, the future is definitely not virtual PCs. You've got to bring something else to the party. Stadia brings everything else to the party. He goes on to prattle on and stuff, and to be fair, most of the rest of them prattle on as well, but I'm aware of the time. But that's the key takeaway for me, which is why I thought that was a fascinating insight, and no doubt will be on other people's shows in the not too distant future. And again, the source for that is venturebeat.com, if you want to go and have a read of that one yourself. Moving swiftly on, that is actually it for the news. You'll be very pleased to hear. But what also happened today, how do you want to see a frog? How would you like to see a frog, people? Look at that. Bless him. A little dainty frog. This is now, if I can just fire up my controller, we're going to have a first look at MotoGP 2020, which I purchased with my own fair cash today. And I would get it working a treat if only my controller, if only my controller would work. This was working just now. I remember it was 10% charge. Don't worry, people. I have all sorts of gubbins to charge this thing up. Talk amongst yourselves. This is the moment where you want the old pottery wheel, don't you? Really, you want that going on. Here it is. Smack my head on the. Here we go. Charging lead. Plug that in. Give it a couple of seconds. Tell you what, we'll come back to that because that always takes a few seconds to charge. We'll go on to the next article. What would this be? What would it be? What would it be without some issues, I hear you say? And with Clive and I on Generation X, we had more than our fair share. Poor old Clive's PC, which is, I think, to be fair to Clive and the PC, I think the PC had heard several times that Clive is about to replace it, and it ain't going without a fight. So basically, it went down, kicking and screaming while he was streaming. And what this is, as you can see, is it's a little advert for Stadia Super Saturday, which is this Saturday, April the 25th. And I will be on it, as will far better people than I. What I thought I'd do is very quickly run through. Here we go, it's all firing up behind us. Quickly run through the day for you. You can find this, by the way, on Reddit, published by, I believe, One to Escape, who is Duncan on Stadia Source. And Essentially, we start the day. This is UK Eastern Time, Pacific Time, 9 a.m., 4 a.m. or 1 a.m. with my very good friends at Stadia Source, who will be introducing the day. Then we go on to Wingy and Crew, Glory of Stadia, at 9:30 for half an hour. This has actually changed slightly since I saw it last. So we've got the Glory of Stadia at 9:30 to 10. We have got Cloud Gaming X at 10 until 11. So we had 30-minute and we could do 30-minute slots. So a lot of people, including moi, put two of those back to back. And then some people just did a 30-minute slot, which is why some of these times 30 minutes and some of them are an hour. So we've got Glory of Stadia, Cloud Gaming, Stadia Community FR, which is our French friends, our French community, and that in itself, actually, I would really like to go into that because I don't speak any French, well, a little bit, not much. So it's, you're getting Stadia news information. They're going to be playing Samurai Showdown and Tomb Raider in French. I mean, that's twice the amount of entertainment. That's value. 1 until 2 and 2 until 3 is Stadia Talk. So they're doing 2 hours. And I think I'm 90% certain that I'm in the second hour of that one as one of a few guests, including Megatron X, MM2K, I think. There's a few of us. All of Stadia Source. No, Stadia Source. Sounds of Stadia. There's all sorts of people in that one. Stadia Talk. So that's coming at 1 until 3. 3 until 4 is Stadia Player 1, which is, that'll be really good, actually. I'm looking forward to that one. Then we've got 64, Germani, at 4 until 5. Then we've got Stadia Cast. So Stadia Cast, that's good to see. Now Stadia Cast, at least last Sunday, didn't have a slot. So I'm really pleased to see that Bill and Lloyd have now got 5 until 7. So they've got 2 hours. That's brilliant. I'm really looking forward to that show. Then we've got Sounds of Stadia, great bunch of guys, 8 till 10. I've just realised this is brilliant. I've just read out the last list from February. I got to 8 o'clock and I'm thinking, they've kicked me off of this. Oh no! But hey, go to Reddit and search for Stadia Super Saturday because it will look nothing like that. And all you need to know is that I'm on at 8 with Stadia Mania, Happy Cloud Gamer, One to Escape, and more, because it's going to be a showcase for rising stars. That wasn't embarrassing or awkward because what it enables me to do now is switch over from, people would talk for days about how I muffed that up. So I think it's great promotion. Let's switch back to our live stream. Our reveal. This would ordinarily be a Rokk review. And if you remember in Stadia Rocks, I judged every game on 5 factors to determine if it was a game that casual gamers could play. Now, in order to really do that and give it justice, I've got to have played the game. But I have not played this game yet, so I cannot do a Rokk review. So we will do a reveal, and this will be one of the first places that you've seen this game, certainly for me. Let's press that button. We've got, let's do 10 minutes of this. Hi to No Time to Game. Hi to Big Eddie Bear. Hi to Ashes to Ashes. Thanks for dropping in, guys. First one ever. It's going to be a laugh, isn't it? It's always going to be a laugh. It'll get better. It'll get better. Unreal. It was unreal, that. I thought it was quite funny, wasn't it? So, right, this is all about bikes and stuff. I had a bike once, came off it. But it was a 50cc, so it wasn't going too fast. But the important thing is I did pass my test on a 50cc so I could drive my girlfriend around. Trouble is, I've always been quite big. I was 6'3" then, I think. And she had to get off when we were going up a hill because the bike couldn't take the pair of us. So it was a bit of a waste. We should have just gone for a nice walk. Gamma correction. Yeah, I'm happy with that. Audio. Yeah, it's lovely. Right then. So what have we got? We've got 25% race length. We're going to go for easy. I do everything on easy until I get good at it. Name milestone. Is it trying to be clever? Now that's either the best AI I have ever seen in a game, or I'm just unlucky. We'll leave it at that because that's really funny. And we'll okay that. Face. Yeah, let's go for that. Let's look at this. Gender. Yeah, that's fine. No, I don't want MLS. I wonder if it'd let me have more than okay. Okay. Yeah, that'll do. That will do nicely. Male. Let's have a look at his faces. Got any old fellas? Oh, hang on. Get it up there. There we go. He's not looking 53, is he? Oh, now they're getting older. That'll do. That one. Italian. No. QRSTUVWX. Oh. What? Oh, I'll tell you what. That'll do. Right, continue. Actually quite looking forward to this. Yeah, I accept it. Yeah, that's it. Just handed over all my house, my possessions and my chittles. Let's go with the new career. We're getting sound, by the way. Any sound coming through, or is there no sound at this point? Yep, accept. Minho Park, China, I'm guessing. Okay. Are you sure you want to sign a contract with a selected team? Yes, of course I am. Look, I've signed it. There's my name. Did you see that? Oh yeah, look at that. That's pretty cute, isn't it? Okay. Confirm. Chat, can you just tell me, are you getting sound coming through for this? I'm not seeing a lot. I'm not seeing a lot in the old sound front, which is a bit annoying. Paid a lot of money for that. If you're not, you're not. It's one of those shows, isn't it, tonight? It's the first one! Right. Where are we going? Okay. Why can't I just play it then? Race options. Yeah, that's all good. Back. Yeah, personal manager. So, as far as I'm aware, this is a little bit like you've got all that kind of behind the scenes management stuff as well as the ability to race. So obviously you'd want to spend some time looking at what races were coming up, sort your manager out, have a little chat with that fella. He's doing some contract stuff. You'd want to have a look at your technical staff. You probably get to choose them and do stuff. Yeah, you can replace them and put new ones in there. And research and development. Oh, that's cool. So you get to upgrade as well. Love all that. Yeah. So you get to unlock stuff, I'm guessing, to progress. That's pretty cool. And then where's old Rockstone in all of this? Is he turning up anywhere yet then, or not really? Got Marquez, unfortunate name, and his brother Alex. Look at that. Family business. Okay, that's brilliant. So, week 1. Advance to the next week. No, I just want to play. Can I play, please? No event scheduled for this week. Race options. Okay. My contract. Oh, okay. Do I have to accept it or anything? I'm very happy with it. It's got my name on it and everything. Yeah. Okay. Accept. Yeah. There we go. I'm in. with the Chinese. I've got a new manager. Right, that was the career stuff. Let's just do a quick thing. A new Grand Prix. Yeah. Start the weekend. Here we go. Whatever. I'm just conscious of crashing Stadia source. I'm also conscious of not getting any noise out of this thing, which is annoying the bejesus out of me. I am deeply sorry about that. Blame Elgato. Blame Elgato, folks. Although I might be able to get some audio in. Let's have a look.
Which will give us important information about the race.
Get some sound. Get out there, mate. Graphics are pretty good.
There he is, heading out on track. We'll soon find out whether he's looking for a quick lap time or whether he's trying out something for the race.
I really like you can do the old reversal thing, the same as grid. So this really is grid for motorbikes, and it's almost certainly a slight different. Yeah. So you can go backwards the same as you can on grid. There you go. Retake the. There you go. And A to go forward. So retake it. Slow down. Obviously that was grid. So the lesson is do not go on the grid. On the grid. But yeah, so essentially, if you like grid, I would say this is definitely up your street. It's clearly going to be less forgiving than grid. Probably going to provide more challenges. So if you enjoy grid, so you've only got to get on to that. So yeah, if you like grid, this looks to me like it's going to offer a lot. I like the look of the progression system. I like the fact that it's got the management stuff in the background as well. You can change your garage to so yeah, we're good. Good! Right, well, I do love that. I don't know if you can see that on the stream, but it's kind of got that jitteriness like it. You've got an onboard camera. Different. No. do like to jump in. But I think, you know, from the back as well, people that want a bit more of a simulation. It's guaranteed if you go on that sound effect stuff like that, as you continue. Right, I think we'll call it on MotoGP. Hope that's given you a little bit of an idea of that first reveal for MotoGP. I'm going to wrap this up as well now because, as I've said, Stadia is coming on in a second at 9. And I think that they're going to be doing a lot of stuff on Stadia Saturday, Super Saturday. You can't hear me, I'm being told. That's weird. 1 second. Let's go back to there. Can you hear me now? Is that any better? Can you hear me? Sorry if you didn't hear me through that entire game. That was even more embarrassing. I was just saying, I'm going to leave it there. I'm going to hand over metaphorically to my good friends at Stadia Source, who come on at 9. They'll be talking about Stadia Super Saturday, which is more than I did. Episode 1, guys. I'm hoping to repeat this. It may not be every day. As you can see, there's quite a lot of effort that goes into putting this kind of thing together. But I will try and do maybe smaller shows, and then, you know, now and again do these bigger ones. But look, I really appreciate chat. I really appreciate you guys coming to this first one. It means a huge amount to me. Yesterday I was all set to give up completely on creating content, and it came to me this morning that this was the future. This is what I have to do. It came in a flash. Which is another story all in itself. So, yeah, thank you very much for coming. And I will look forward to doing this again with you guys in the not too distant future. That's me. Rokk out.